Thank you for clicking on the video and welcome to my channel. You can call me Twinkle, call me SheIsTwinkle, or call me Antoinette. Either way, I'm here to give you my take on Love is Blind. This is season 5, episodes 9 and 10. Now, before I even get started with this review, I gotta get something off my chest. Love was supposed to be blind, right? Love was boring. Love was a snooze fest. Love was 2 episodes and should have been 1. Love is Blind felt like a waste of my time, but I couldn't let y'all down. I committed to reviewing season 5 and I'm here to do it. So without further ado, I'm going to try to give y'all the best that I got with what I had. Now, season 5, episode 9, it was titled Love on the Rocks. Play on words. They've had really good episode titles. Anywho, back to business. So the episode starts off with both couples. They are going to the courthouses and they are picking up their marriage licenses. Of course, they're not signing them yet because you don't sign them until the day of the wedding. I don't know if there's any of y'all out there that are like me. I like to save $1, a dime, a quarter, a whole paycheck. I would not be wasting money. Now, I'm not saying they did or did not get married. I'll get to that part. But that marriage certificate was $74. So, anywho, moving right along. They paid for it out of their own accounts. They're smiling in the camera and they seem really excited about it. We have the marriage license. We've met the families. Now what is left to do? We have to pick out the wedding dress and the tuxedo. So it's time to say yes to the dress. We have the brides-to-be and they are showing up with their siblings, friends, family, whatever, and they are at a bridal store. The bridal store has a beautiful assortment of dresses for their friends and family to gush over as they try on each dress. Every season, you don't know which one they're going to pick because a lot of times they try on a dress, but then you see a different dress at the actual wedding ceremony, which is pretty smart. But it's a special moment. There's always a lot of laughter, tears, oohs, ahs, all of that. For the men, it's not quite the same because a tux is a tux, a suit is a suit. It's just not as exciting, but you get to listen to their different conversations, which at this point in the process, they're only saying good things about their significant other because this is a special time. Something that stood out to me was that Stacy had a jean jacket that was made for her. It was bedazzled. I ain't gonna lie, it was cute, but it said Mrs. Zapata on the back of it. Now that is Izzy's last name, and she was rocking it. She was so proud. Let's put a pin in that. Fast forward, as we get closer to the wedding days, it is time for us to have those special private dates that we have every single season. So the first date is with Izzy and Stacy. Izzy came up with the bright idea to take Stacy to a aircraft facility. It was really nice. They were special bomber aircrafts, which I looked that up, and those are the military aircrafts. They are smaller planes and they do private rides, very similar to private helicopter rides that are offered in every city around the world. So she loves to fly in jets. She loves to travel. So why not take her on a private plane ride? Stacy was really excited because this was unexpected. I personally think that Netflix paid for this date, but that's just my opinion. Anywho, after the flight, they came back, they changed their clothes, and then we see them having a candlelit dinner inside of the warehouse that houses a bunch of those specialized aircrafts. And they're looking into each other's eyes. They seem to be lovey-dovey, and they're looking forward to the big day. And something that Stacy pointed out is that she loves how calming Izzy is because she's not calming at all. So his calm nature reassures her. I'm not quite sure where she sees the calmness from because we saw him turn all the way up on Johnny, and he just doesn't seem like the calmest person to me. But she spends more time with him. So she's complimenting him on that. He is complimenting her on the fact that she stole his heart. He thought that after his last engagement, he would never fall in love again. And at this point, he says he's madly in love with her. He cannot wait until their big day. So to end off their date, they get up and they dance. in the warehouse, and it seemed like a special moment. They were all smiles. Put a pin in that. Milton and his sister Jessica. Remember, the last time we saw Jessica, she had met Lydia when Lydia came to meet the family. Jessica was the sister that was not having it. She said, I think this is phony. And her sentiments have not changed. On this lunch that they were having, Milton starts off the lunch and he says, I think that everything went great for the most part when Lydia met the family. What do you think? Because it's hard to fit into our family, but I thought she did pretty well. His sister is basically still questioning the process. She said that everybody thinks that it's not real. They don't know how authentic it is. And I'm assuming that she's older than him because it just seems that she is expressing a lot of her concerns and basically telling him that marriage is very serious. Have you guys discussed kids? Have you discussed merging the families together, finances, all of those things? Milton is very no nonsense. Milton refuses to argue. He doesn't ever really get out of character. He just tells her, I know what I'm doing. And me and you both know I don't care if everybody was against me marrying her. If I want to marry her, I'm going to marry her. That let me know everything I needed to know to sum up their whole love story. Milton is always going to go against the grain, but it seemed like a good, real conversation that was needed between family members, regardless of the cameras being present. Milton is very calculated, so he's considered all of that. So they're good to go. And he said, I just want to know, y'all still coming to the wedding? And the sister said, we will be there. Moving right along, we have a very awkward scene with Izzy and Stacy. They are packing up their apartment, but the tension is heavy. Something is obviously wrong. They don't look excited. They're not talking much. And Stacy looks very stressed out. She tells him, I don't know if I can trust you. To make a long story short, apparently they were at a gas station and Stacy asked Izzy if he had any credit cards or can he pull out his credit card. And he said he doesn't have any credit cards. That's how this conversation came up. And they are very vague as to the details of their disagreement. Obviously, it's dealing with Izzy's personal financial status and his credit history, but it has majorly affected Stacy. He doesn't have any credit cards because he has bad credit. That's what it comes down to. And she's saying that she can't trust him because he lied to her and he should have told her this in the pods. And she thought that they had these conversations. She even said herself, I feel like you ramble on a lot and you just skirt around things as if you're trying to hide something. So he did apologize for the fact that it appeared that he was trying to hide something, but he wasn't trying to hide anything from her. He said, I was just trying to figure out the right time to tell you. I figured we'd have to sit down and have a formal conversation about it. I definitely didn't want to upset you, and we've worked through everything, and I think we can work through this. Now pause. Izzy, this is not dishes. This is not a lost and found drawer. This is not even meeting the family. This is an issue because when you get married, a lot of people join their finances together. Then they get things with joint credit. If you don't have good credit, that's going to affect her. So I do understand her being upset and concerned. Sometimes I feel like she should consider her reaction and the reason as to why he is hesitant and somewhat scared to have these types of conversations with her. It doesn't excuse the fact that he didn't have it. Because if you remember, Johnny already knew that he had bad credit and she still wanted him, bad credit and all. So he expressed that to Johnny. And he technically dated her for a shorter period of time in the pods, but he didn't express that to Stacy, which was the woman that he ended up proposing to. That's interesting. Somehow, without seeing her, he already knew that he couldn't go into that level of detail. He probably felt as though if he shared those details, he would lose her. And so he wanted to reel her in and get her hooked before he revealed that information. I think that's the real truth behind it. Whatever the case, They're very stressed out about it. He says it's miscommunication. It's not miscommunication, but whatever. He tells her, we're both scared. I don't want to feel like I'm walking on eggshells around you. I'm not in a horrible position. I just have bad credit. I don't even owe a lot of debt. It was just $3,500. A lot of people think that he's lying about that $3,500, but technically, if, let's say, for instance, he only had one credit card, one, and they reported to the credit bureaus, all three, every single month, but he had late or missed payments on that one card, and he doesn't have anything else on his credit history, or maybe he has one or two more cards, that's going to drastically affect his credit. So technically, that could be true. Anywho, she responds, it's going to be okay. Moving past that hard conversation, we get to the special date with Milton and Lydia. Milton took the both of them to have a private dinner at a rock gallery. This place was beautiful. It was all types of special rocks and minerals, and they were in cases. You could tell they were all smiles. Everything was good. But of course, at some point, we need the drama. So then it goes sour because they get into some real conversation. Milton is straight up honest with her. I do not like how you handled yourself in that situation with Uche. Lydia is a little taken aback. She said, well, I think I did pretty good, especially with the way that he came at me. And I'm not sorry about it. He deserved that. I could have said more. He was calling me a stalker. Milton's argument is that it made him feel uncomfortable. You don't have to be so loud and emotional and go off on people. I want you to be more like me. Why can't you respond the way I respond? If one of my exes would have came to me with that energy and all these accusations, I would have just walked away from the conversation. Now, this is tough because I do understand both sides. I understand that she said, look, I got to defend myself, and he was coming at me sideways, and I'm going to return the same energy with him. You're not going to lie on me, and you're not going to talk to me crazy. Whereas Milton, he is basically saying, I want to be honest with you, especially if you're going to be my spouse. I don't want this to automatically be your reaction and for you to blow up. Where Milton messed up is that he shouldn't have said you should react or respond more like me. The better word for it is that she needs to learn how to manage her emotions. I wouldn't want my significant other to blow up at every single uncomfortable situation either. She just needs to learn how to manage her emotions in the moment, even if it's taking a deep breath and thinking before you respond. Because if you respond to somebody with yelling and screaming and cussing, they're not listening to you anyway. So whatever point you're trying to prove, it's not coming across. I think that Lydia is extremely emotional and she expresses all of her feelings, but Milton, on the other hand, he lacks emotion, which isn't always great. I think they could learn from each other, but I understand playing it cool in public places because no, you do not want to embarrass your significant other or make them uncomfortable. So Lydia wasn't getting it. She had to take a minute to walk away. Then she came back. He apologized for if what he said had hurt her. Those weren't his intentions. They ended up talking out some more. Their date ended on a good note. Episode 10. Episode 10 was titled Big, Big Love. The episode starts off with flashbacks of both of the couple's love stories and journeys through the entire Love is Blind experience. Not with other people they dated, but with each other. So the first wedding we're starting off with, Izzy and Stacy. Let's get them out the way, because if you're truthful, a lot of us fans out there were very uncertain. Is it going to be a yes? Is it going to be a no? Is he going to say yes or no? Is she going to say yes or no? I'll get there when I get there. So we see Stacy in her bridal suite. She's prepping. She's getting hair and makeup done. She looks totally different when she's not done up, but I'm not going to go into detail about that. Apparently, Stacy's family loves Izzy, which was confusing because that's not what I got out of the family meetup. But since then, they've grown to really love him. They think that his soft side is good for Stacy because she's more hard and rigid, and they would love for him to be a part of the family. Stacy, of course, she's a complainer. She always has something to complain about when it comes to Izzy. She complained that he's basically not cultured enough. She said that his favorite food is Chipotle. And she looks like, oh my gosh, how I would never. What about Peruvian food? What about Mediterranean food? Girl, are these real complaints? If you want him to try new food, then take him to one of those restaurants. Bring home that food one day. I don't think these are valid complaints. I think that she was picking at things. Moving right along. Then we see a scene with her. She talked to her mom. I had to point this out because her mom said something that was very interesting. As you know, Stacy's last encounter with Izzy, it was not the special date. It was their argument in their apartment when the topic of credit cards and debt and finances came up and him not revealing his true credit status to her. So she tells her mom, it's not about the credit, it's about him being dishonest. Her mom responded to her, and her mom told her, I had red flags, and I ignored them because I just thought I was so in love. Looking back, I should have never ignored those red flags. So I feel like her mom was trying to tell her to read in between the lines. Yes, these are red flags. I ignored them because I thought I was in love, but I don't think you should ignore them. But I'm not going to tell you that on your wedding day. I'm going to try to relate it to myself, but I hope you're listening to me. So I thought that was very interesting. Then we go to Izzy's suite. He's laughing with his friends. He said that he's glad that they're around because when he's by himself, his mind will start going all types of places because you already know in his heart, he feels like he's not good enough. He never knows if Stacy wants him or not. He's told his friends for the past 48 hours, it's been very stressful. It was such a hard conversation to have with Stacy, and they hadn't really talked much. And his friends are trying to reassure him, like, you're a good guy. You've come such a long way. I'm sure it'll be fine. Izzy specifically said, love has no credit score. Love has no price tag. Yes, it does. In Stacy's book, it does. But okay, y'all definitely aren't on the same page, but I don't think y'all are in the same book. But all right. So he tells his friend straight up, at the end of the day, I love this girl. I'm going up there to that altar and I'm going to say yes today. He's confident. So he decides to write her a love letter and they are helping him write it. And then one of the friends goes to deliver it to her suite. It wasn't a love letter. It was more of a cheesy, little corny love poem, and he rhymed everything with Stacy, and it was titled Why I Love You. Stacy read it. She giggled a little bit. She said, oh, this is so sweet. I've been telling Izzy this is what I need. I want little love letters and love notes here and there. This is the first one he sent, unsolicited. Girl, I'm with Izzy. You ain't gonna never be satisfied with anything this man does. But whatever the case, we are preparing to walk down the aisle. Stacy and her dad are standing outside of the doors. She said, is there any advice you want to give me? Is it normal to be nervous? Should I know 100% that I want to get married to the person that I'm walking down the aisle to? How does this work? Her daddy said, you just got to pull the trigger one way or another. Do what feels right. He's a good guy. So when you say you got to pull the trigger one way or another, I feel like that's saying just get it over with. This is going to hurt one of you, but get it over with. All right, so let's get to the wedding ceremony. Izzy is as happy as any bride can be. Y'all heard what I said, Izzy. He is the groom, but he's happy as any bride would be. He is up there, he's cheesing, he's smiling, he's talking to the crowd. Stacy comes down there. Her sisters are super happy. They're emotional when Izzy is doing his vows. He really does do beautiful vows. He shows her off to the crowd. Doesn't she look beautiful? Yada, yada, yada. It's time for Stacy to say her vows. She says her vows. And then they get to the I do's. Of course, we already knew Izzy was going to say I do. It gets to Stacy. And the moment they say anything but I do, if they start giving an explanation first, you already know what it is. He didn't ask you for an explanation. The preacher asked you for an I do. Stacy starts giving an explanation. Then she says, I love you so much. I just think we need more time. This is too soon. And I was immediately confused. Stacy, you knew that you signed up for Love is Blind. You know that it is a social love experiment. You know that the idea is to get to the altar 4 weeks later. So if you thought you needed more time, then you probably should have never went on a show like Love is Blind. I don't think you needed more time. I think if Izzy was well off, if he was wealthy, if he had a beautiful home that he owned, if he had dishes, if he didn't have a lost and found, if he did every single little thing that you wanted, if he rubbed your feet, ran you bath waters, had rose petals waiting at the door, a trail all the way to your room every single day after you got off work, and he was made of money and he let you go on a shopping spree, I think that you would not have hesitated to say I do. But that is not who Izzy is. And I think the only thing that has kept you guys thus far is because you have a very strong physical connection. So you lied to that man and said, you need more time. You don't need more time. You don't want him. You haven't wanted him. You don't respect the fact that he's so in tune with his emotions. That's why you're not emotional when you're saying this. And you're trying to let him down easy. So Izzy is nervous in his response. So he says, I understand. I love you so much. I'm always going to be there for you. I understand. I really do. And kisses her as if they said, I do. I was very confused. But they went their separate ways. And of course, Izzy is a mama's boy. His mom meets up with him privately, I think in the groom suite. And she basically says, look, when you had to get your immunizations as a baby, I cried because you was in pain and you was crying. But I knew that you had to go through that because it was going to stop you from getting sick. I knew that it was good for you. So this pain you're feeling, I want to cry with you. But it's better to cry now than to hurt much more later. I.e., she could have went through with it, but then what if you end up going through a divorce or you realize you're with somebody who doesn't really want to be with you or you're both miserable? So I appreciated his mother for being there for him in that moment. Izzy is processing this and he's getting more and more upset in the moment. But I'm going to get back to them right after I get to Milton and Lydia's big day. Because this ain't going to take long at all. Milton and Lydia, they ready. Lydia shows up. She's getting her hair straightened out. She has all of her siblings show up. She's saying that she's not nervous at all. She's so confident. She knows that he's the one. She has no concerns whatsoever. Then she has a special moment when she has on her wedding dress and she is talking to her mom. Her mom is telling her that she loves her and Milton as a couple and she's giving her encouraging words. It was a beautiful mother-daughter moment. Over to Milton. Milton said, look, I just got off work at 2 o'clock in the morning and it is now 7 o'clock in the morning, but I'm here with bells on. I'm not about to look tired or nothing. I'm excited. He shows up. His friends are there and he's laughing and joking with them while he's getting his hair cut and lined up and everything. Milton's dad comes in and tries to have a special private moment with Milton, a father-son moment. I say tries because I don't think it went the way that his dad was intending for it to go. He comes in there, he gives him some cufflinks to wear for the wedding. I thought that was sweet. And then he asked Milton, do you have any questions? Milton was like, no, not really. And so like any other concerned parent, he starts trying to immediately give him marriage advice. You're going to be the head of your home, and marriage is not always going to be easy. You got to stick it through. I know you've seen me and your mom have plenty of fights, but you got to keep working at it. Milton says, okay, but that's y'all relationship. That doesn't mean that's going to be me and Lydia. I know love is blind, but I wouldn't be going into it having not thought about all of these different things. He's basically saying, I'm good. You're trying to give your advice, but I'm not going to let nothing throw me off. And Milton doesn't do it with an attitude. He's very calm, which could be considered passive aggressive in some situations because he's so calm. But to me, it seemed like His family is very pushy, and all they've done is put their concerns on him, and it's starting to irritate him. And he's like, look, I'm a grown man. I'm going to do what I want to do, and I know what I'm doing. I'm not a child. Stop questioning it. His dad pretty much caught on to that and was like, all right, well, you got it. You got it. So then we get to their wedding ceremony. They both look very nice. I can say I really loved Lydia's dress. It was lace. It was off shoulder. She looked absolutely gorgeous. Milton looked very handsome. They are standing up there. They're giving their vows. They said beautiful things about each other. As we all knew, they both said, I do. They proved that love is blind, and they are very happy to be coming together. So we see the cameras just getting their feedback, and they can't believe that they're husband and wife, but they're excited about it. And they literally kiss in between every single word. Milton is tonguing her down to the ground. He's so excited. And that made me feel like, okay, I think Lydia is smart. Lydia know what she was doing. Izzy and Stacy had that physical connection, but so did Milton and Lydia. So I feel like Lydia was like, look, you gonna be my husband. I think she has some type of whip appeal, but that's just my opinion. I was happy for them. And then the episode ends by going back to Izzy. Izzy's words are slurring, but he was emotional. So at this point, he's crying here and there. He is now sounding off about Stacy. I don't want to talk to her. I'm hurt. She should have gave me a chance. I could have gave her the world. Okay, Izzy, I'm gonna let you have it. But I could have gave her the world. She's dated all these 44-year-olds and they couldn't give her that, and she should have gave me a chance. That's why she's still 33 and single. I know you hurt, but dang, if you ain't got nothing nice to say, don't say nothing at all, because you did just say I do to her. You just mad because she said I do not. Stacy, still not a tear, looking unbothered. Happy that she looked cute in this dress, but she like, I gotta go. Now, I told y'all to put a pin in it earlier with Stacy. Stacy showed up to that wedding dress fitting with the Mrs. Zapata jean jacket on, bedazzled. She showed up to her wedding day with a bride jacket on. Girl, why are you spending all this unnecessary money and getting specialized things made? You knew when you showed up that you wasn't gonna be no bride, you wasn't gonna be Mrs. Zapata. Why you wasting money and time? You getting excited for no reason. But she got it like that, I suppose. Anyhow, the episode ends out with all of the cast doing reflections on what they got out of the season, what they loved, what they learned, their regrets, and what they're taking away from it. Y'all, till next time. Bye.